Oh, Fungool, it's Monday, and I'm so glad to be here with y'all from another video from Drewski, the Comic Assassin. We're going to talk about some news, we're going to talk about some stuff that came out last week, and what's coming out this next week that you might want to check out. So, with that being said, I know we have a big week coming up. It's July 4th week. I want to wish all of you and your families a happy and safe time. Go out, have fun. If you can catch some fireworks, that's awesome. But I just want to wish all of y'all a happy 4th of July and happy hunting coming up this next Wednesday. So we got some good news coming out. Far From Home, Spidey, already hitting, the last time I checked, about $110 million overseas. That's just China, Japan, and Hong Kong. And it's probably more even now. But it comes out tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow. So I'm not a guy that usually goes to opening day for a lot of movies. I don't really like crowds, plus I have kids, and so I don't do that kind of thing. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a good movie. I've heard nothing but good things about it. If you do go, of course, stay for the end credits. Apparently there's 2 clips in the end credits that are supposed to change the whole phase of MCU. So keep that in mind and stay in there and watch the whole thing until the lights come back on. Alright? Also, speaking of Spidey, that commercial with Tom Holland and Hannibal Burgess where they're doing the Final Fantasy, I believe Final Fantasy 14, that's great. If y'all have not seen that ad, I love it. I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy. And to have Tom Holland and Hannibal Burgess, which I love him as a comedian, do that commercial, I thought it was awesome. So please keep that in mind. The next movie news is Netflix. Netflix is actually doing Sandman as a live-action series. I have not read the whole Sandman, and this is Neil Gaiman's Sandman, alright? I love this. What I've read, I've actually loved. I love Neil Gaiman. I've read several of his novels. I've seen several of his other pieces of work. I think he's very artistic, very creative. And so when I found out about this series coming out, I'm super stoked. Apparently it's going to be super expensive to make, but it's already in the works. So that's another piece of news that came out. And then we have Black Widow. Alright, now here's the thing about Black Widow. I like Black Widow as a character. To me, she is not a good standalone character, even though she is a badass. So, with that being said, I will support any movie that comes out, whether it's good or bad. I'm just not that excited about it. But there's been several clips that have come out hinting at who the villain is going to be. So, this one picture that comes up show somebody and everybody is shouting, "Oh, is it the Taskmaster?" And is it the Taskmaster? I don't know. And looking at the colors and the design, I can kind of see it, but it represents more of like what you see from like the Spidey PS4 Taskmaster, not what we see traditionally in the comics. But there's also no cape involved. And of course, you can always put in the cape, using the CGI and all that stuff. But then I saw this other clip, and it was in a different tank, and it made me start thinking differently. It made me start thinking, what are they possibly going to be trying to do Crimson Dynamo? Alright, and you heard it here first, and I could be totally wrong. Trust me, my wife tells me that all the time. I could be totally wrong. But I'm thinking maybe Crimson Dynamo. One, because there's a C on the tank. And if you look at the design, yes, it's not red like the Crimson Dynamo. But if you remember the Crimson Dynamo NK2 outfit that he had, it looks more fitting. So, I don't know. And because when we're coming to these like teasers, you never know. With Marvel, they put stuff out there. This could be just a regular foot soldier from the organization that she is in fight with, right? So you never know. This might not even be a main character, but these little things pop out and everyone wants to speculate on what's going on. I would love to see Taskmaster. in a film, even though if that's the way he's portrayed, I don't know if I like it that much. But, so yeah, I'm thinking, what, maybe Crimson Dynamo? He might, of course, there were several Crimson Dynamos in the comics. There wasn't just one. Several people took on the suit. What was involved with, with Black Widow, Tony Stark, all that, so it would be fitting. There's also some talk that there's a scene or a picture of her being in a more modern vehicle, which makes people speculate that we're not necessarily doing an origin story. We might be doing something that's more recent, but definitely before Endgame. So who knows what's going to happen? Let me know what y'all think. But hey, if it is Crimson Dynamo, let me pat myself on the shoulder. But if I'm wrong, hey, I'm used to it. But speaking of Endgame, I am, as much as I loved Endgame, I'm about tired of hearing about it. First off, this whole re-release of Endgame, to me, is kind of a pump move. Just because to the common person, you hear that there's going to be all this extra stuff in it. And all the extra stuff is basically, at the very beginning, the director's coming out giving a tribute and a thanks. There was a tribute to Stan Lee, which was very fitting. And at the very end, there was, I think I said the trailer of Spider-Man Far From Home. There was actually the first 3 minutes or something like that. But there was only like one really additional scene in the movie, and it wasn't even complete. Like it was with Hulk, and it wasn't complete. It wasn't like fully ready for film. And to me, that's a money grab, right? Like, honestly, I love the tributes. You could have put that in your DVD. All right, but if your sole game is to try to beat Avatar, honestly, as much as I love comics, I hope Avatar wins, because that's a pump move to put out. Say you're going to put out additional content, and you gave us nothing. Like, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. All right, no, you got to think. Avatar, great movie. Don't see why it did as good as it did, but I thought it was a good movie overall. All right, but it stood on its own 2 legs. Whereas Avengers Endgame, you have to understand, it's hard for a new person to come in and watch that movie, because they're like, okay, I have no idea what's going on. I have to watch 20-something of the movies just to get myself caught up. I'll wait for it to come out on DVD. So for it to be as good as it did, that should say something. Alright? But to do this re-release and it have such little in there, I'm disappointed in that. I'm disappointed in that decision making. So you let me know what you think. And also, like, every time you check out the news, it's always Endgame, Endgame, Endgame. They're constantly trying to have to explain what happened in Endgame. Alright? Now, there's some confusion in there, and I'm not going to try to spoil it for anybody who has not watched it, besides the fact that there was time travel. There is time travel in Endgame. Time travel is a conundrum in itself. Alright? It's a mind fuck no matter what you think of. Alright? And they're trying to explain like how a certain event happened with Captain America, and like, oh, this is how it makes sense. And honestly, no, it still would not make sense. Where's Moldomir? Alright? What happened to that? There's a lot of things that don't make sense, but me, as much as I'm like, I don't like that, I'm okay with it. Alright? It's a movie. It's a movie. Don't think too far into it, okay? But they're also like explaining that apparently there's like the first gay person in an MCU movie, and some people are trying to call it a hero, whereas it's just a guy in the when they're having the little group with Captain America as like a little support group. In the titles, in the credits, he's called the Grieving Man, and yes, he's openly gay, and who cares? Right? But let's not say, oh, he's the first gay person in MCU, let's cause a big ruckus. Some people are really pissed about it. Some people are like, whatever. Like, who cares? It's a movie. It's a movie. Alright? It wasn't that big of a deal. But, once again, the people have to come in and, like, say, oh, this is why we made this choice. This is why we made this choice. The movie's done. let it stand on its own two legs. Okay? So I'm kind of tired of seeing the Endgame news. As much as I love the movies and the whole phase in itself, I'm just kind of endgamed out. You know, like, what else can I say? Anyway, so that's just kind of the movie news that came out. There's a few other things going on with the books themselves. Some new Black Label stuff. So there's new Black Label, The Last God or something's going to be coming out here soon from DC. That's cool. But other than that, everything's just kind of the norm. So we're going to jump into the books, alright? So last week, that I was able to pick up was, and I'll start with these two first. I did Dark Red number 4, which is from Aftershock. And I also got Pulp Mamba number 3, which is from Valiant. Now these two books I actually did a review on during my last video. So if you want to know what's in the content of these books, I don't give it fully away, but I try to let you know what's in the books and also some backstory. So hopefully if you like it, you can jump on board. But I did end up getting Redneck 21, which I love Redneck. It's a great story. Got Spawn 298, which is the homage cover to American Spider-Man 298. And we're almost there. We're almost there to 300. I'll do this one. Batman Damned, number 3. Beautiful cover. I had to get it. It's very interesting, to say the least. So I did get that one. And I also got Amazing Spider-Man number 24. Now I'm going to say something. So they did have two versions. They had this one, and then they also had the Carnage version where they had like the little blood splatter in the title there. I actually got both of them. This is an interesting book because one, we actually find out somewhat of the identity of this guy. And he's kind of been in the run from the get-go, but we don't know who he is. We still don't know who he is, but they at least let us know what his alias is. And he goes by the name Kindred. More to come. But what's more important in this book is there is a death, and a death of a major villain. Now, with that being said, we still don't know if it's a death in reality or in a dream, just the way it was presented. But this once again comes up, and I've talked about this several times in my videos, with Marvel saying they're going to be treating deaths differently and make them more like permanent. If this was a real death and they're going to hold true to the word, this is definitely a book you might want to pick up. Alright? I'm just letting you know that now. So, and there's also, and I said this before my review video, there was two books that I wanted to get last week that I didn't. One was Canto number 1. And I've heard that it was a great read, but the press run had such heavy damage. My comic book shop had 3 copies, all 3 copies. It's like I just couldn't bring myself to pay money for that. Like the covers were so wrinkled and so creased, and they had like a blackish cover, which made it even worse. But I was like, why? Why am I going to pay money? Like, do I go to a car lot and buy a brand new car that has dents in it? No. You want to get what you pay for. So, like, I didn't pull the trigger on Canto because it was heavily damaged. Now, there was Marvel Comic Presents number 6, which came out, which has a first appearance of one of Wolverine's daughters. And someone even told me in the comic book shop, said, hey, this is the first appearance of Wolverine's daughter. And to me, it's like, okay, what number is this? And has he killed her yet? Alright, that was my initial reaction. But, so, yeah. And who knows if it's going to carry on after Hickman takes over and wipes everything clean and does his own spin. But nonetheless, the book shot up to being like a $25 book on eBay. And I haven't checked in a minute. It might have gone up, might have came back down, but it shot up. So if you got it, awesome. I'm glad, and I do hope the characters have some longevity, but who knows. Oh, I also did get this. I love whenever I go to my comic book shop, even if I got what I normally want, I always have to flip through the dollar bins. And I was surprised to see this in the dollar bin. Marvel Chillers #3. This is the origin of Tigra. Alright, now I don't think will ever see a lot of Tigra love. But overall, I mean, I looked at it. No, it's in lesser condition. There's a little bit of a spine roll. There's a little bit of yellowing in it. But other than that, there's no creases. There's nothing. It's a great book to find in a dollar bin. Alright, so I was super excited about that. Alright, so jumping in to what's coming out next week. What should you be picking up? So first off, I will say that for IDW and Dynamite, there was nothing I wanted. Alright, and a lot of this stuff I'm going to tell you, it's not something that I'm personally interested in. They're just books that I think you might want to check out because they might be good reads, and some of them are #1s. So let's jump in with DC. Alright, so DC, they had Deceased #3, which is probably my #1 pick for DC. Alright, and I'm going with cover #3, the Putri cardstock variant. I'm liking that they're doing the cardstocks. They should hold up. They should be better in condition. I don't like that they put an additional dollar tag on it. Like, do we really need to have to pay an extra $1 for you to do a better job of giving us a quality book? So that's my opinion. But nonetheless, I love the cardstock covers, and they did them also for Deathstroke this week. I think the new Harley book and Justice League. There might have been another one, and all the covers are great. And I'm all about increasing the value of the book by making it better conditioned. But golly, make us pay $5 for you doing your job. Like, I don't know. But that is my pick for when it comes to DC. There's also a Lewis Lane #1. It is a miniseries, and it could be good. It could be good. So I'm also saying you might want to check that one out. Also, there's also a Superman Up in the Sky #1 that's coming out this week. But don't be illusioned. This is actually a reprint of the Superman Giant #3 and 4, which were Walmart exclusives. So if you didn't have the chance of getting those, this is your chance of getting those story covers. So it's not original story work. Okay? Alright, we'll go with some other new books. So from, I know there is it Dark Horse that came out? There was 2 books. There was No One Left to Fight #1. Yeah, that's it. No One Left to Fight #1. And it was very Dragon Ball Z-ish. It might be a cool concept, but that's not my pick. My pick actually is Black Hammer Age of Doom number 11. And Black Hammer is a cool series. If you've never checked it out before, you should. It's kind of difficult currently because there's a few existing Black Hammer titles, but Black Hammer as a character is really cool. Jeff Lemire has been doing some great work with Black Hammer, so if you want to check out that realm, I would go with Black Hammer. Alright, so for Image, there are a few books that are coming out. There's a Postal Deliverance #1. Now, Postal originally came out. A lot of people critiqued it. Some people really loved it. I think they actually made it into a series on Hulu back a few years ago. I never read the comic or saw the TV show, but it might be worth checking out. There's also a Space Bandits #1, which is actually a Mark Millar book that's coming out. Seems interesting, but those still aren't my 2 top books for Image. My 2 top books for Image are, first off, Sea of Stars #1. And it seems like an interesting storyline. It's about a intergalactic truck driver, okay, who happens to bring his son along, and this big thing comes, destroys his truck, they get split up, and it's about him trying to find his son out in the cosmos. I think it's kind of a cool concept. You know, I'm not very a big space guy, but I kind of like the idea of an intergalactic truck driver doing just basic functions, alright? I thought that was pretty cool. But I'm also going to say Walking Dead 192, the Rick Grimes commemorative cover. So Walking Dead 192 came out about 2 weeks ago, has a major event, and if you see this cover, you're going to know what happened. Okay? But also 193 comes out this week, and it might follow up with what's going to happen. I've already heard news that they're already teasing another major death within the series. I don't think it's necessarily going to happen in this book. It might, but they're teasing that one is going to come. So, once again, those are my two picks: the Sea of Stars and the Walking Dead when it comes to Image. Now, for Marvel, we also have a few books that are coming out. There's a final Fantastic Four Particle Sons issue 1, and I found this kind of confusing. There's like introducing Prodigal, but we also had a Prodigal before. We actually had a Prodigal back in was it X-Force number 81? Was another first appearance of a Prodigal. I don't think they're the same two beings, so don't get confused with that. But that might be one to check out. They're also doing a lot of Carnageized variants this week, and not just doing the blood splatter in the title, but making kind of when they did the Venomized, now they're doing the Carnageized covers. There's a few of those I like. If you're a big Carnage fan, maybe you want to check those out. There's also a New Mutants 98 facsimile cover or title that's coming out. So if you don't have a copy of New Mutants 98, the first appearance of Deadpool, and you want to try to get that, I would say go for that. I mean, you're not going to be able to get it for $4 anywhere else. So, but my two picks for Marvel goes out to Arrow number 1. Now, Arrow is a comic that and once again, I'm not fully caught up on the reading, but I believe it's a character that was introduced in the War of Realms, the Agents of Atlas story arc that just came out, but she's getting her own series. All the covers I see are very anime-like, which is, to me, different from Marvel, but it might be good. So I'm going to say that one, but also Immortal Hulk, number 20 is coming out. You can't go wrong with Immortal Hulk. I'm loving the cover. I was not a big fan of the last Alex Ross cover that came out. I'm loving this one. It's got a nice cover of the Hulk and the Harpy coming together. I think it's awesome. It's been an awesome story. So those are my two picks from Marvel. Now when it comes to indie, there's several books that came out. Not all. I mean, you can't always mention the number ones for the sake of time. First off, there was a couple cool Lady Death covers that came out. They have a $20 price tag, but there's like Lady Death and like as Miss Marvel or as Conan the Barbarian. And even though I don't really follow Lady Death, I saw the covers like that's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to pay $20 for it, but I still thought they were pretty cool covers. But my two picks are Descendants number 3, which is also another Aftershock cover. And this is just for the read. And I actually haven't read it, but I've heard good things about it. And so if you've read the book, please let me know what you think about Descendants. Because this is one that I'm actually kind of interested in actually picking up. I think you can still get both 1 and 2 reasonable cover price. But that's one of my picks. But the next one is Test number 1. Now when I first read the synopsis of the story, it didn't really catch me. But who knows? It might be good. But those are my two main picks. And I couldn't finish this storyline up if I didn't finish with my joke of the week. And that's going to be Talk Bernie to Me number 1. Alright, this is one of those other, Devil's Due press book. So I think I mentioned this before where they had the AOC book that came out. Apparently, there's one copy that you can get on Midtown, which is the regular copy, or you can get the other copy from Devil's Due Press. And I have to say, I found the cover amusing. It has Bernie Sanders as He-Man. And once again, this is my loser of the week. And not just because it's political, because like I said before, there are several books that I've seen done politically, which it was funny. This one's definitely agenda-driven, which I do not like. And it's like I said, God forbid, you might like the man, that's fine, but if he had his way, he's going to raise the taxes on all of us, and I'm not going to be able to buy enough books as I used to be, and I don't like that. And to put him as a figure, as a superhero, and for any politician for that matter, alright? Red, blue, I don't want them seen put as a realistic superhero or in that light of mind. But then again, these are comics. That's just my opinion. There's tons of comics I don't like because of their genre. Just a lot of people that do. So, I don't know, this might be a book for you, but for me, this was the laughing stock. And like I said, especially with everything else, you can't even get on the news nowadays without hearing this and that. And my comics are kind of my escape. And that's why I don't like seeing a lot of stuff in my books. But anyway, you let me know what you think. I hope all of y'all have a great July 4th weekend. Just have fun with your families. Be safe. And once again, this is Drewski, the Comic Assassin, coming at you. And happy hunting to you.